Okay, let's get this going now. The judge is on the bench. Merchan is in there. We're getting our emails from our producers and reporters inside the courtroom. And he greets the parties, asks if there is anything need to talk about, anything regarding scheduling. Todd Blanche, the attorney for President Trump, asked to approach, and they are now having a sidebar. With that, let's bring in a former legal advisor to Michael Cohen. His name is Robert Costello. He represented Cohen at the start of the federal investigation and has been released from his attorney-client confidentiality agreement, hence the reason why you're able to talk to us. And sir, thank you for your time today. And we watched you before Congress yesterday, and that was something else. This is part of what you had said to Congress yesterday. You said, Cohen told you, I swear to God, Bob, I don't have anything on Donald Trump. Now, you testified before Alvin Bragg's grand jury. Did you tell them what you told Congress yesterday?
Well, it's interesting you bring that up because before I testified on a Monday before the grand jury, I gave Alvin Bragg's assistant DAs the courtesy of about an hour-and-a-half Zoom conference where I told them all of the exculpatory material that I had that they were supposed to put before the grand jury. But when I appeared before the grand jury, they were asking me questions that, in my opinion, and I've been a federal prosecutor myself. I was deputy chief of the criminal division in the Southern District of New York. Those questions they were asking me were not going to elicit the exculpatory information that I had. So I began to expand upon my answers, and the DA's office was trying to shut me down, saying that I had finished my answer. And I told them that when I'm in the middle of answering a question, I'll decide when I've finished my answer. And I asked them not to interrupt me again. But basically, they only put in a small, cherry-picked group of emails. I presented maybe 200 to 300 emails and text messages to them. I had them with me, luckily, in chronological order. They put 2 or 3 into evidence. I asked them, are you going to put the rest of them into evidence? And they said no. And I said, remember, there's a court reporter there. I said, why not? They said, there's a legal issue with him. I said, what's the legal issue? And he said, hearsay. Now, first of all, hearsay is admissible in the grand jury, so that's really not an objection. But I played along with him, and I said, hearsay? Well, then pay close attention to the next 2 sentences. I said, these documents were made in the regular course of business, and it was the regular course of business to make and maintain documents such as these at or about the dates indicated. I said, now you know, and I know, but the grand jurors don't know, that makes these documents business records. And you know, and I know, but the grand jurors don't know, that business records are an exception to the hearsay rule. So are you going to put the rest of the documents into evidence? And they indicated most likely no. So I simply said to the grand jurors, I said, you people should demand these documents. You should demand to see everything in chronological order so you get a real view of what Michael Cohen was like in those days at that moment in time. I said, and then ask yourself this question. Why are they trying to keep these documents from me? Well, after that, I left the grand jury. I have no idea whether they put the documents into evidence or what happened, but subsequently Donald Trump was indicted. And you've seen the fruits of that indictment in this trial, which is a trial about something that's not a crime. When I met with Michael Cohen on the first day at the Regency Hotel when he was suicidal by his own admission, I explained to him non-disclosure agreements, NDAs as he was calling them, I said are perfectly legal. Because he kept on saying, why are they trying to put me in jail for an NDA? And I explained to him, that's not why they're trying to put you in jail. Obviously, they think you've done other things. What are they? He denied having done anything else. I didn't do anything illegal. I'm cooperating with the special counsel. I'm cooperating with Congress. Of course, he forgot to tell us that he lied to Congress. But he was desperately seeking, according to his own words, an escape route. I want you guys to tell me how I can get out of this, because he saw these enormous legal problems coming his way. They were so bad in his mind that he was willing to kill himself. And so I kept on going back and suggesting to him, listen, Michael, if you have something truthful on Donald Trump, now is the time to cooperate. And he kept on saying over and over again, 10 to 20 times, I swear to God, Bob, I don't have anything on Donald Trump. I even said to him, Michael, think about this. Isn't it easier to cooperate against Donald Trump if you have truthful information than it is to kill yourself? Well, the answer is obvious. That was his moment in time. If he had something truthful to say, I'm willing to cooperate. But he didn't take that. He kept on saying, I have nothing on Donald Trump. And then when we got into the discussion of the Stormy Daniels NDA, he said specifically, and I cross-examined him on this was my idea. It was his idea to take care of the NDA because he had been contacted by a lawyer for Stormy Daniels who said she was going to claim that Donald Trump had sex with her. Cohen said, I didn't believe the allegation, but nevertheless, it would be embarrassing to Melania. That's Michael Cohen's words. He said, and so I decided to take care of this myself. Now, he took out a home equity loan for $130,000 and used that, and he did tell us that he got repaid later. We didn't get into the details of that because that was not what we were focused on at the moment. We were trying to figure out what was Michael Cohen going to be charged with by the Southern District of New York. And then, as you know, ultimately, he pled guilty to 8 counts, 7 of which had nothing to do with Donald Trump. And then after that, he attempted to cooperate by telling fibs to the U.S. Attorney's Office that Rudy Giuliani and I conspired basically to obstruct justice and tamper with the witness being Michael Cohen. With all these emails and text messages that I had, it was absolutely clear that there was no truth whatsoever to that. So the U.S. Attorney said to Michael Cohen, in order for us to investigate this, you have to waive the attorney-client privilege. And that's what he did. And when they called me up and presented me with the waiver, I then gave them the documents they requested. I went down and I was interviewed for a couple of hours with 2 AUSAs and 2 FBI agents. At the end of that interview, everybody was laughing because I showed how ludicrous the accusation was. And they being the Southern District of New York, never used Michael Cohen again. They didn't indict Donald Trump for anything, and they never used Michael Cohen, and they didn't give him any credit for his cooperation. That's a lesson that the Manhattan DA's office should have learned, but they haven't learned it yet.
One of the things I found so interesting about what you just said, amongst many, is that the grand jury didn't get to hear some of the things that you thought they should hear. And for all of us listening to you now, it's like, wow, the jury should probably hear this. And I wonder, have you been subpoenaed by the defense? Do you think you will be called to testify in New York at this trial?
I have not been subpoenaed. Whether I will be called to testify, it hasn't been decided yet. It probably depends a lot on what's going to happen today in court and then what would happen on redirect by the district attorney's office. I mean, if I were in Todd Blanche's shoes, that's the analysis I would make.
If you were in Todd Blanche's shoes, would you call you to testify?
Yes, because I'm a reliable person.
Go back to this meeting with Cohen, 2016. It's late October, early November. The election hasn't even happened yet. No. It's April. It's April. April of what year?
2018.
Okay, gotcha. So can you explain how Cohen could procure the NDA on his own, right? He said his wife ran the house. He went out and got a home equity loan, okay? They're living in some pretty fat apartments on Park Avenue, right? So they've got the money on the home equity loan if they want it. How does he sign it?
Sure.
Without his wife knowing, which he has testified to? And why does he do it then? And is it solely for the purpose that he thought Donald Trump would give him a good job in the administration if he were to win?
Well, that's multiple questions there. Number one, he got a HELOC loan, as he referred to it, for the $130,000. The reason he did it that way was he told us, and I haven't seen the paperwork, but he told us that he didn't want Melania to know and he didn't want his own wife to know because he said that his wife handles the family finances, and if he took any money out of any of his accounts, she'd know it right away. And according to him, she'd ask him 100 questions that he didn't want to answer. That's his statement. Now, I haven't seen the paperwork for this HELOC loan, so I don't know whether he represented to the bank. Chances are that he didn't tell the truth on that application. He didn't say this is going to be money to take care of a non-disclosure agreement. But I don't know that. I'm just guessing.
Okay.
Now, what was your other question?
I had a few. Can I ask you another one?
Yes, you did.
Why
Sure.
has Alan Weisselberg not been a witness in this case to date? He's the longtime accountant, ran the Trump organization for more than 40 years.
Well, I think if you listen to Andy McCarthy, who you just had on, he gave a very good analysis, and that is we are presuming that Alan Weisselberg does not have any information that would be helpful to the district attorney. Because if they thought he had helpful information, they would immunize him and bring him from Rikers Island over to the courthouse and have him testify. The fact that they haven't done that leads one to reasonably conclude that maybe Weisselberg doesn't have information that helps him, rather it helps Donald Trump. I think Andy McCarthy is 100% correct on that.
I'll hit you with a couple questions if you don't mind. Here's just one, like, if Cohen did all of this on his own, but the jury sees that Donald Trump signed the checks, does that kind of evidence go to the prosecution's point?
No, I don't think so. I mean, listen, this is a prosecution for a false statement in a business record. Frankly, none of this tawdry stuff should have been allowed in. It's reversible error. If this case results in a conviction, it will definitely get reversed, but after the election, probably. And that's what they want.
Okay.
The fact that Donald Trump signs the checks really doesn't mean anything. Do you know how many checks he probably sits there and signs? While he's president of the United States, he might be a little busy on something else.
Do you know Judge Merchan?
No, not at all.
All right.
Never met him.
But you have experience with New York juries, and what do you think about this particular jury and how they might be, thinking about this case as they get ready for jury instructions fairly soon?
Well, I mean, it's New York City, so I understand that 87% of the voters voted not for Donald Trump in the last election. So you have to assume that there is Trump derangement syndrome out there, and that this jury will be reflective of that. So that means there are some people on this jury who will vote to convict Donald Trump, no matter what evidence is presented or not presented. All you need is one or two reasonable people to hold up or hang the jury. And I think ultimately, if I was guessing or betting on this, I'd bet that that's probably going to be the result. They may actually just get so disgusted and acquit him. But
so
it's hard to do that when 87% of the people vote for the other guy.
I apologize about talking over you.
I'm sorry, Bill. Go ahead.
Point. It's okay. We're told right now that this sidebar continues. So it's been going on for 15 minutes. Maybe they're talking about you potentially as a witness. You're a friend of Rudy Giuliani, and that's how you came into this entire orbit. By way of New York and the Southern District, I'm assuming, based on your past and your resume. This is one of your emails to Michael Cohen. I'm assuming, this was April of 2018. We can put it on screen. Giuliani asked me to tell you that he knows how tough this is on you and your family, and he will make sure to tell the president. Giuliani said, "Thank you for opening this back channel of communication and asked me to keep in touch," end quote. Why was it necessary for you to be a back channel at that time?
It wasn't, and that phrase was not mine. That was a word that Rudy used, probably an unfortunate term. There was nothing sneaky about this. I was representing Cohen, and by the way, that first meeting at the Regency, Michael Cohen lied to the jury already about that, because he says that Rudy Giuliani and I basically were conspiring even on that day. Rudy wasn't even representing Donald Trump until a couple of days later, and you will see that there is an email from me informing Michael Cohen, did you see the report in the newspaper that Rudy is now going to represent Trump? I said, that's good for you because I know Rudy, and Rudy knows me. And the reason why that's good is because when you're talking to a lawyer representing somebody else, if you've known that lawyer for 40, 50 years and you know that the person is trustworthy, it makes things a lot easier.
Robert, how about
it's
this?
That simple. What Cohen did, go ahead.
You said he told you, what, 10 times, 12 times, I don't have anything on Donald Trump? Why would...
Right.
So his story is entirely different now. He's done a 180. So maybe this, maybe the jurors believe him today, and they would not believe something from 6 years ago, Robert.
The rest of the proof doesn't support Michael Cohen. And by the way, one thing that you're not reporting yet is that besides making that statement, I swear to God, I don't have anything on Donald Trump, he also said more times than that answer, guys, I want you to understand, I will do whatever the F I have to do. I will never spend a day in jail. And then he'd slam his hand on the conference room table. And what does that mean to you? That means this guy is saying, I will lie, cheat, steal, do whatever I have to do. I'm not going to jail. Well, he did go to jail. And who do you think he blames for that? Mm-hmm. And why do you think he names his most recent book, Revenge? I mean, quite frankly, he's using this to monetize himself, because this is the only way this guy can make money right now, selling books and T-shirts and trinkets and being the ultimate anti-Trumper. And because he was doing that on TV, and I saw that, I said, I can't sit by and let this guy tell the grand jury, tell the jurors now this false story when he told us the opposite story at a moment when he was desperately seeking a way out and was willing to kill himself. And certainly cooperating with truthful information is a lot easier. But he didn't have any truthful information.
That leads me to a question I was thinking about asking you, because you've had time with Michael Cohen. I've not. And I'm wondering about how you think his state of mind is now, because, as you said, he was suicidal when he first met you. He did ultimately go to jail. He's now written a book called Revenge. He has said to the prosecution he does want Donald Trump, to be convicted. And he's getting some strange new respect from liberal media and commentators, even actresses and comedians on the left-wing perspective. And I wonder how he thinks about that. Is he somebody who responds to that kind of flattery, but also is it because that's the way that he can actually continue to make money to support his family?
The answer is both. He does respond to the flattery. He is looking to make money, and he has been making money. He's got a podcast. Apparently it's called Mea Culpa, which is ironic because it's Latin that means through my fault, and it is through his fault that we're all here talking about this subject.
Mm-hmm. Robert, the sidebar is over. It lasted almost 20 minutes. The judge apparently said, I apologize for all the whispering. The jury is now being brought into the courtroom, and so too is Michael Cohen. So we'll see what gets underway momentarily. Final question.
Okay.
If you think Michael
Yes,
Cohen was telling the truth in 2018, maybe he was lying 6 years ago. Maybe he's flipped again.
Of course, that's a possibility.
I was in the courtroom.
However,
I was in the courtroom the other day, and it was a well-rehearsed show between the prosecutor and Michael Cohen. It was Q&A, Q&A, Q&A. It was flip the page. He could almost anticipate the question, so he was very well-rehearsed. But if you're saying he's lying now, who's to say he wasn't lying then, when you first came across him?
I'll tell you why I believe that what he told us in 2018 was the truth. Number one, as I said, he was suicidal. He was desperately looking for a way out. The way out was clear, and that was to cooperate against Donald Trump if he had truthful information. He didn't take that way out. All day long, he said, I don't have anything, but I will do whatever the F I have to do. I will never spend a day in jail. Here's the other thing. Donald Trump, when he went to Washington, D.C., when he was elected, he took the whole Trump inner circle to Washington, with one exception, Michael Cohen. They left him back in New York. Michael Cohen was very unhappy about that. As I testified yesterday, during one of my conversations with Michael Cohen, when I asked him, Michael, what did you think was going to happen if you did go to Washington, D.C.? He said, I thought I could be Attorney General of the United States, or at least Chief of Staff to the President. Now, as ludicrous as that sounds, I thought I was the only one that he had said that to, until I noticed that during cross-examination of, I think it was Stormy Daniels' lawyer, Cohen actually said that to him. Now, this is your adversary. You're negotiating with this guy for an NDA, and yet you're telling him how annoyed you are that Donald Trump didn't take you to Washington where you could be Attorney General or Chief of Staff. You don't think that's sitting on this guy's mind when he writes a book called Revenge? He went to jail and he's left alone in New York. I think that's his motivation now.
Robert Costello, we thank you so much for spending this time with us. It's very valuable and insightful, and
maybe we'll see you again.
Yeah, it sounds like we might if Todd Blanche is listening. Thank you,
sir, very much for your time. There are 11 Republican members of the House in court today. The images you see here are the latest photographs. White shirt, red tie today, Dana. So he's sporting the red, white, and blue as well. Donald Trump is there now with the jury, and Michael Cohen is on the stand. We will get our first readout, our first email from our producers inside the courtroom right after this.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.